Well, I don't know if you're like me, but from time to time when you do woodworking projects, you make mistakes. And I just made one, and I'm not really sure how it's going to turn out. But first I'll show you that I tried to keep myself from making this mistake. This beam, which is going to be the stretcher beam between the two pairs of legs, I'm going to expose the end of it. It'll go through a mortise, will go all the way through. So I can drive the peg. I thought it'd look kind of cool to hang out half an inch and so forth. And I put a piece of tape on this end that said exposed to remind myself this will be exposed. So when I go to cut this and shape it, I'll be nice to it. So that when it goes through the mortise, I can have it nice and exposed. Well, that was alright. And then I started marking the pieces where they were going to be on the table legs and so forth. And I took my Sharpie and I marked on this one a number 5. And I went, oh boy, that's going to be exposed. Unfortunately, it's Sharpie and it's not a pencil mark. A pencil mark could come out. So I'll wonder what this will look like. Luckily it's a distressed table, so it might have a distressed mark on it. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that little tidbit with you because sometimes we get moving along, we don't always do the right thing. Make a little mistake, so. But, well, we'll just see what the good Lord has planned for this, so we'll be back at you. Well, hey guys, I was going to show you a little bit on how I was laying out these mortises on the beams. I've been having a lot of fun making a lot of mortises and not quite done yet, so I didn't want to get to the next step, but I thought, you know, I'll just show you what I was going to do and how I was doing this to lay this out. So let me give you a shot of how I'm doing this here. So what I first did was I cut the tongue. This is one of the long stretchers for the table, and I cut the tongue. Pretty much I cut it 2 inches wide by 1.5 inches thick, 2 inches tall by 1.5 inches thick, and then I did a haunch on it because I didn't want to have the top of the beam, the wood, to be cut out. I want to have some wood at the top of the beam where the table sits on and so forth. So it's called a haunch. So I cut a haunch in it so that the tongue sits down below a little bit. But anyway, so now I want to mark where this tongue is in relationship to the beam so I can chisel out and cut out the mortise for it. And what I do to do this is I support the stretcher on top of the beam. And since this thing is going to sit in this orientation, and I'm going to have it, it's going to be a little backwards, but I'm going to have it 1 inch in from the outside, the stretcher is going to be, or the apron, actually this is called the apron, and it's going to be 1 inch in from the outside, and so I need to line up this, this tongue. This is going to sit like this in the beam. To get the outside and the inside lines, I'm just going to lay it down like this on it, and then I can push the outside face of it. I can measure this inch in, and I'll square it up on the beam, measure 1 inch here and towards the other tail end out of the screen, out of the shot, to make sure it's 1 inch roughly. I don't want to have it untrue when I do this. And so it's going to be about in that area. So I'm going to draw a line on the outside edge of my tongue where that's going to be, and I'm going to cross out my other line that I had there. Whoops. That's why we measure things twice. And then I'm going to put it on the inside of the tongue. So that's where the tongue is going to sit, and it's in farther because there's a little bit of a shoulder. I cut a shoulder all the way around. This is only 1.5 inches wide. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin the beam this direction, and so this is going to sit like this, and it's going to be there. So now what I want to do is I want to tip it down this way, and now I'm going to line this up with the top edge here, okay, and what we're going to get is the top and the bottom of the mortise, which is here and here, and I already had drawn those ones. So now I can take my tri-square and I can square these up where these where this mortise is going to be, in that there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the center of this for 1.5 inch bit that I'll drill on the drill press again to start this, to plow out a bunch of material and in this. So to mark that center, if it's 1.5 inches, it should wide here. It should be about 3/4 each way. So 3/4 would be here, except I want to be up. And I'm gonna, because it's 2 inches this way, I'm just gonna put the hole on the one end here. So I'll come up about where 3/4 is at. So it's somewhere in here, and then 3/4 this way. Should be somewhere there. Should be somewhere there. I'll put a little dent there with my pencil. I'm going to just check it here and see if it's squared up. And my son Mark just came in the shop. Yeah, it looks pretty even. 3/4 each way that way. And there's our hole. So we'll plow that out with the 1.5 bit, and then I can mortise it. Alrighty, we're back again, and here are the parts for the table base. I have all the mortises and tendons cut on all the parts. This is it. These are the parts for the base, and they're all cut. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out for putting in peg holes into the through the tendons, and so I just wanted to tell you about that. I got to lay that out and drill those out, and then I'll get those set to go. Oh, you'll notice a red clamp. I don't know about you if you do woodworking projects, but I tend to make a mistake or several on a project every time, even as careful as I am trying not to. And of course, I made a mistake on this one, that I put the mortise hole in the wrong place. Luckily, this is going to be the inside, and it's going to be mostly covered by the big, long apron. And so you won't really see this, but that's one of the mistakes. So I had to add a little wood and move the mortise hole over. So, but you know what? That's what gives it its character. If you make mistakes, it's all right. Praise God, because it's not a factory-made piece, it's a handmade piece, and that's an awesome thing. And I encourage you, if you're like me and you make mistakes, hey, that at least you got a story to tell your grandkids about. Kids, look on this table and find the mistake. And they might have to look around. In my case, the grandkids are going to look way around and finally find it maybe way underneath the table if they look very carefully. So I numbered all the pieces. I had one little scare. This is no, that's not the piece. Excuse me. This piece down here. This is a long stretcher at the base of the table base, and anyway, I decided to leave the ends of the tendons exposed when they come through the short stretchers. I thought it'd look kind of cool if they stuck out the end. So I had to be careful, and on one end I had put a piece of tape exposed to remind myself to be careful with this end. On the other end, I wasn't paying attention, and I took my Sharpie marker and I marked a number on it. And I was like, oh no! But I was able to skim off about a 16th or 32nd, and it made the Sharpie mark go away. So this end's a little shorter than the other end, but that's okay. But I got rid of that, so another mistake, but got it taken care of. I think it'll look pretty cool. So now I'm going to drill these holes. One of the things the old-timers used to do in building buildings, you probably know this, might not, but on the mortise, they drill a hole, and once they got the hole, they put the tenon in, they mark the tenon, and then they move the hole for the tenon 1/8 of an inch. In this case, 1/8 of an inch up this way, if you can see this, and 1/8 of an inch this way, so that when the peg goes through, it's going to suck this tenon down in, this post down in, and it's going to hold it really tight. So I'm going to do that. I'll probably go a little bit less than 1/8, but something like 1/8 inch. So I'm going to drill a hole through the mortise first, put the tenon in, mark the center with a drill bit, and then take it out, move it 1/8, and then drill the hole for this so it's ready for a peg. So I'll go ahead and drill these all out. And I think the next step will be me assembling the base of the table. Pretty excited about that. And then I can turn my attention to start working on the tabletop. So look forward to that, and we'll be back with you. Okay, so here's the base. All cut. Got my pinholes all done for my pegs. Got everything done. Mortises, tendons all cut. Didn't make any more mistakes. That's a good thing. But now I was just looking at a couple things I want to do. I want to put a couple of 2x4s across here to help support the top boards. And I'm thinking about easing off these edges, putting a chamfer on here, and I thought maybe on the bottoms I would round off the bottoms a little bit more so they've got like about a 2-inch footprint instead of that square thing, because I'm concerned that with the big square base it might not work really well on an uneven floor. It might be easier if there's just a pad spot, just one spot. Plus we have hardwood floors and I want to have a spot to put a pad on, so I think what I'm going to do is take a hole saw bit and drill a hole just a little ways down, maybe an inch, 1/8 inch or so, and then I'll round the legs into that, and then I'll have my spot. So, and beyond that, once I get these boards figured out, I'm going to get pretty close to gluing this thing up. So I'll be back when I guess get the edges eased off and get ready to glue up and drive the pegs in, and we'll go from there.